Hello, welcome to Anita the Pedagogue channel. Today, we continue with our literature analysis. Today, we are going to discuss the poem Rain by Edward Thomas. For our lesson content, we will look at a biography of the poet, the title and its implication, the structure of the poem, its line-by-line analysis, the literary devices, the themes, and I'll share with you some likely examination questions. Philip Edward Thomas was an Anglo-Welsh writer of prose and poetry. He is commonly considered a war poet, although few of his poems deal directly with his war experiences. Although an accomplished writer, Thomas turned to poetry only in 1914. He enlisted in the army in 1915 and was killed in action during the Battle of Arras in 1917, soon after he arrived in France. Thomas' poems are noted for their attention to the English countryside and a certain colloquial style. A short poem of Thomas's serves as an example of how he blends war and countryside throughout his poetry. On 11th of November 1985, Thomas was among 16 great war poets commemorated on a slate stone unveiled in Westminster Abbey's Poets' Corner. Now let's go on and look at the poem Rain. Rain, midnight rain, nothing but the wild rain on this bleak hut and solitude and me, remembering again that I shall die and neither hear the rain nor give it thanks for washing me cleaner than I have been since I was born into this solitude. Blessed are the dead that the rain rains upon, but here I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight or lying still awake, solitary, listening to the rain, either in pain or thus in sympathy, helpless among the living and the dead, like a cold water among broken reeds. Myriads of broken reeds all still and stiff, like me who have no love, which this wild rain has not dissolved except the love of death. If love it be towards what is perfect and cannot, the tempest tells me disappoints. Let's move on to the structure of this poem. It is a poem with 18 lines. It has just one stanza, and the lines are enjambed because they run on. This poem is considered a blank verse poem because if you look at the very first line, it is made up of 10 syllables. And also, the lines are written in iambic pentameter. And these 10 syllables have stressed and unstressed syllables throughout. So you can see it's in the first line, rain, midnight rain, nothing but the wild rain. 10 syllables made up of stressed and unstressed syllables concurrently. Let's move on to key features of the poem. You'll see a constant repetition of rain, solitude, and solitary, and it's emphasizing what the poem is about. And it shows that this poem explores the power of nature's rain and also the loneliness of the speaker in the poem. Let's look at the title Rain. Rain is part of the continuous water cycle on Earth. As a part of nature, it provides fresh water and serves other crucial purposes. The speaker uses this poem to explore rain as one of nature's powerful force to humans, even as he explores the theme of mortality. Let's move on to our analysis. Let's begin with lines 1 and 2. We see the speaker begins the narration by painting a serious atmosphere of a heavy downpour through the persistent repetition of rain and the words wild rain. He describes his setting, which shows the speaker is at a lonely, boring place, that is a bleak hut, and also solitude and me at night. The theme of mortality is demonstrated in the words of the third line, remembering again that I shall die. The poem's blank verse structure and rhythmic iambic pentameter suggest the speaker is reflecting on his existence. The speaker shows his vulnerability due to his constant thoughts of death. In lines 4 to 6, we can see the speaker is bothered, however, that should he die, he wouldn't get to hear the rain or give it thanks, personifying the rain as if it were human. For him to hear the rain speak or to tell it thanks. The speaker perceived the rain as his companion and a purifier, because in lines 4 and 5, for washing me cleaner than I have been since I was born into this solitude, the speaker acknowledges the crucial role the rain plays in his life since he got into the boring setting or his current situation of solitude. In lines 7 to 11, the speaker broods over his loneliness, departed people, and his past loved ones. He contrasts the blessings in death, while he prays that none of his previous loved ones die, by saying, I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight or lying still awake. According to the speaker, he hopes no past loved ones of his is going through his predicament, which is restlessness, insomnia, and depression. He uses the line 11 to suggest that these people may be going through solitude because of sympathy for their loved ones or due to a pain they may be going through. This draws the reader's attention to the vulnerability loneliness brings, often leading to depression and even suicidal thoughts. In lines 12 to 14, the speaker further explains the predicament of his loved ones, who he describes as helpless among the living and the dead in line 12. This imagery is morbid and melancholic, as the speaker's loved ones are presented as vulnerable, that is, helpless. The speaker further uses a simile to compare them to cold water among broken reeds. While the cold water represents these past loved ones, the broken reeds represent the dead. This is emphasized in the next line, as the speaker quantifies the reeds as numerous, myriads. The alliteration and assonance in all still and stiff also emphasizes the dead people around them. This gives the reader the idea of a period of war, because it is during war that you usually find people dead all around. In lines 15 and 18, the speaker compares his predicament to that of his loved ones. He demonstrates his lack of hope, as we see him say, like me who have no love, which this world reign. According to the speaker, he has no love, which the world reign may cleanse or dissolve. It means he no more believes in love. Previously, he believed in love, and he had loved ones, who could be family, friends, and colleagues. But in line 16, he says, except the love of death, showing that now the only thing that the rain cannot wash is his love for death. He no more believes in love. And he continues to say that if love is be towards what is perfect, showing that he thought love would be perfect. But we see at the end of line 17 that he says, and cannot, meaning that love is not perfect, and so he no longer believes in it or loves, that is, love for people, friends, family, and loved ones. According to the speaker, the tempest, which is the rain, the wild rain, tells him that perfect love disappoints, it's unrealistic. Therefore, he desires death, because death is inevitable, death is unavoidable, death will obviously come to him. So why not love death instead of loving his loved ones who perish and go through all kinds of circumstances or due to his separation from his loved ones? And so the reader here gets to know that the speaker no longer has any interest in love, but his love is now centered on death, bringing out the theme of mortality. Let's move on now to the literary devices. There's been the repetition of rain, solitary, solitude, broken reeds, and all these are for emphasis. There's also the use of caesura, that's a punctuation after the words solitude or solitary, and this shows how the speaker has come to a standstill or a pause in his journey of life. There's also the use of alliteration, myriads of broken reeds, all stiff and still, the repetition of the consonant S. Again, there's the use of simile. In lines 12 and 13, we see helpless among the living and the dead, like a cold water among broken reeds. Here, the speaker compares his loved ones to cold water among broken reeds or dead people. Again, in lines 14 and 15, we see helpless among the living and the dead, like me who have no love, which this world reign. He compares himself here to his friends and loved ones who are equally helpless. There's also the use of personification, and neither hear the rain nor give it thanks, personifying the rain as a companion or a friend who can hear him speak, or who he can hear, and also to be able to even communicate appreciation to. In line 18, we see, cannot the tempest tell me disappoint? The tempest has been personified to speak or tell the speaker. There's also the use of contrast or irony when the speaker says, blessed are the dead that the rain rains upon. He says the dead are blessed, but he contrasts it by coming back to say that, but here I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight or lies still awake. If there is a blessing to be dead, why is he praying for his loved ones not to die? And so that's why this is a contrast or an irony. There's also the use of symbolism, broken reeds representing people who have died, like reeds that have been broken. Let's move on to the themes and look at the theme mortality and solitude. The poem reflects on the inevitability of death and the solitude that comes with it. In line 3 of the poem, the speaker, amid the wild rain, reflects on his inevitable death by saying, remembering again that I shall die. The speaker continues to ponder on his mortality, acknowledging that he will eventually die and be unable to experience the cleansing rain or express gratitude for it. The speaker expresses he has no love which the wild rain may cleanse or dissolve except the love of death. In line 16 and 17, the speaker refuses to be unrealistic and believe in love or perfect things, which cannot, meaning is unrealistic. He asserts the wild rains, which he now describes as tempests, tells him they disappoint. It means love disappoints. He cannot rely on love, and so his desire to love death. The speaker therefore prefers to love death, which is realistic and obviously inevitable. The reader is thrown into an introspection of their own life when they read this. It is also perceived that it is the speaker's life predicaments that drive his love for death. The speaker ironically believes those that are dead are blessed, even as he prays his loved ones do not die or experience his solitude, as we see in lines 7 and 8. Blessed are the dead that the rain rains upon. But here I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight or lying still awake. The poem's blank verse structure gives the reader the idea that the poem is written from a sense of isolation and introspection as the speaker grapples with the depression due to loneliness. The word solitude and solitary has been repeated constantly with a caesura, that is a pause. The pause after the mention of these words suggests to the reader that is all the speaker is stuck with, his isolation. The reader infers that it is this deep solitude that contributes to the speaker's desire to die, as we see in lines 2 and 3. On this bleak heart and solitude, and me remembering again that I shall die. The reader can also infer the challenges that isolation and loneliness brings, as the speaker compares his loneliness to that of his past loved ones. He prays in line 8 and 9, but here I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight or lies still awake. Even though he waits for his inevitable death, he doesn't wait just for his family and friends whom he once loved. The speaker's persistent mention of rain and personification of the rain as he listens to it makes the rain his companion or friend in the midst of his solitude. Let's move on to the theme cleansing power of nature. The rain in the poem symbolizes cleansing and renewal. The speaker explores his inevitable death while appreciating nature's companionship. He reflects on how the rain washes him cleaner than he has ever been, suggesting a spiritual or emotional purification. The idea of being cleansed by the rain could also represent a desire for a fresh start, a release from past burdens and guilt, as we see in line 5, for washing me cleaner than I have been. The repetition of rain 8 times emphasizes how the rain is the speaker's only companion in his solitude. The speaker, however, declares his lack of love cannot be dissolved by the rain, hence his desire to die. In line 15 to 16, like me who have no love which this wild rain has not dissolved except the love of death. His predicament is such that the rain cannot cleanse it. The reader perceives the power of nature, that is rain, as it is soothing and calming, and as it serves as a purifier for the speaker whenever it rains, while keeping him company as he awaits death. Let's look at the themes love and loss. The poem touches on themes of love and loss, particularly in the lines 7 and 11, where the speaker expresses a wish for the well-being of those he once loved. There is a sense of longing and concern for the people from the speaker's past, highlighting the enduring impact of love and the pain of separation. The reader observes that the speaker's desire for death is due to the loss he has faced. It is this loss that also causes his isolation and solitude. The imagery of broken reeds indicates the speaker has lost a lot of loved ones or people in general. He emphasizes the number of people he has lost with a mention of myriad. It is this massive loss that drives the speaker to refuse to love but rather choose to love death. In the final 2 lines of the poem, the speaker, using personification, says, "If love is be towards what is perfect and cannot, the tempest tells me disappoints." The reader observes the disappointment of separation the speaker experiences from loving his past loved ones. His current emotional state leads him to believe that such a love is futile and uncertain. This causes the speaker to no longer love others, but love death instead, since death is sure to happen or inevitable. Let's look at some likely examination questions. 1. How does the speaker in Rain by Edward Thomas reflect on their mortality and solitude? What does the rain symbolize in the poem and how does it contribute to the overall theme? Discuss the significance of the speaker's desire for the well-being of those they once loved in Rain. How does the imagery of broken reeds in the poem contribute to the theme of love and loss? Explore the theme of cleansing and renewal as portrayed through the rain in Edward Thomas's poem. How does the poem Rain explore the idea of impermanence and the passage of time? Discuss the role of solitude in the poem and its impact on the speaker's reflections on life and death. Analyze the use of nature imagery in Rain and how it enhances the poem's themes. How does Edward Thomas use language and structure to convey the emotional depth of the speaker's contemplation in the poem Rain? Now this brings us to the end of our lesson on the poem Rain by Edward Thomas. Hit the like button, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Until I come your way again, keep learning and be the best version of yourself.